We're speaking about navigating personal triggers in counselling training. Describe what that is, Rory. What is a trigger and how does it show up?
When we use the word trigger, what we really mean is something that puts us into a panic or alarms or a fear state, or takes us through transference back into the past. A trigger is where your brain takes you back to a time when you were in danger or felt in danger.
Yeah. And it's difficult for us to say where that triggering might come from because it can come from the most unexpected of places. It really can. So some of the places that it kind of might show itself is looking back at how your past life was, but it might be something that someone else says, and it might not even be counselling related. It might be somebody else on your course who rubs you up the wrong way and it triggers an anger feeling in you, and it might be the tutor. The tutor might trigger you. It can be a number of different things. And what we're not here to do today is discuss what might trigger you. We're talking about what do you do and how do you manage this and how can you look after yourself within that situation. And the first thing is to acknowledge that trigger. A trigger will come in as an emotionally charged piece of information. It may come from another person as it hits your ears. Their words bring something up, maybe a scent, it may be a sound, it may be an action, but something triggers and you're immediately hit with this really emotionally charged energy. You feel it straight away. And what can happen within a trigger is you can leave the here and now and be back thinking about that thing, that time, that person. You're not in the present moment. It transports you away into an emotional state where you may be remembering or rethinking of something that is not happening here right now. And the first step to working with that is acknowledging it and going, I saw it. Because it can be really sneaky. You can find yourself only realizing that you've been triggered a few minutes later when you already caught up in it. You find yourself acting out or having the emotions related to this. If you can pick up as it comes in and go, oh, I see that triggers me. Being triggered is not a weakness. There's not something wrong with you. It's not something bad. It's something not to be ignored. And specifically as counselors, psychotherapists, we want to be acknowledging the type of things that trigger us because that invites opportunity for us to work with it. If we can say afterwards, that was interesting. When that person said that, I felt this anger rising up in me. What we can do is acknowledge that when that person said that, it made this feeling inside me. And I think that's step one, Rory, is acknowledging that, because then you can share it with the supervisor. What's your thinking around that, Rory?
Yeah, I think you've hit on a very powerful point. No one can make you feel anything. You feel it yourself. And although someone might say something and you say, you've made me feel uncomfortable, my view would be that actually your history has made yourself feel uncomfortable. And if that's the case, if you're in supervised practice, you could talk about that in supervision. The supervisor may hold a boundary there because supervision isn't, as we know, personal therapy. But in the normative, formative, restorative part of supervision, there can be a supportive aspect in supervision. I'd certainly support someone who was saying that they felt triggered by a client or felt triggered in a class, helping them explore that. But I think it's also important to frame it as a reflection, not a confessional. This is part of professional growth. As therapists, we do put ourselves in harm's way. We put ourselves in front of people who may have been the type of people who had an adverse effect on us in the past. And as such, part of developing as a therapist is that professional growth and developing that robust side to you. And that moves on, Ken, to, if it continues or it's an ongoing theme, seeking personal therapy. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Ken.
Yeah, we speak about this quite a lot as well, don't we, in terms of why we go into personal therapy. And this is one of those many examples of why it serves clients. If you're in a session with a client and you're triggered by material or something that comes up, are you able to be fully there with that client? By going to personal therapy, we can work through some of the things that trigger us. Let's pay attention now to in the moment. I'm sat now, I'm in professional discussion, somebody says something, this really brings up something within me, and suddenly I know I've been triggered and I've got all of these emotions. What do I do? Because I'm in that moment. And what you can do is ground yourself. Remember, we started off by saying that trigger may well take you out of the here and now. You're no longer in the room. You're in a memory of something that may have happened, or experiencing a very strong emotion that kind of removes you or distances you from the here and now. As soon as you are able to recognize that, you can use a grounding technique. A grounding technique is really there to bring you into the here and now. It stops you thinking. You say, I'm going to stop thinking about that and I'm going to do something actively right now. And it can be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory grounding. Tell me about how that works. How do you do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding, Rory?
The way I would use it, people use it in different ways, is about breathing, sensory focus and mindfulness. You might look at 5 things you can see in the room, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things that you can look at. But I think just finding your own way of staying in the here and now is so important. So grounding, tapping your foot, tapping your hand, just to get that top brain activated so you don't fall into your emotional brain and become fight, fear or flop. You're still in that cognitive space. So finding your own technique. And I would say, Ken, that in cases, when we've taught and someone's having a bit of a bad day, students having a bit of a bad day, they've said, is there any chance I can just go for a walk round? And I was told that was immensely helpful, that someone could physically take themselves out of the situation. So I think you have to take it on yourself. I also think your tutor should be attuned to what might be going on. A good tutor will see what's going on and say, look, why don't you take a break, go and get yourself a coffee.
The frontal cortex is the part of our brain, it's the modern brain, where we think and we reason and we have control. But there are parts of our brain that we don't really have control over. And when we activate what we can control, and that's a grounding technique. I'm feeling all of this. I recognize I'm feeling it. Step 1 is just recognizing this happening to me. I'm going to look around the room and I'm going to find 5 things and name 5 things I can see. Now I'm engaging my frontal cortex, which means my brain has got a job to do, and it may take the attention away from what I was feeling and where I felt I was being hijacked. I'm now in control. I'm thinking this. I'm now looking for 4 things I can hear in the room. And just by doing that, engaging the brain, engaging the senses, pulling oneself into the here and now, it is useful. And you need to know when you can manage this and reflect and record, and when you might need to go and seek professional help with your own personal therapy. If you can't get out of the depths of it, you do need to speak to a fellow professional. By looking, by understanding, we're shining a light on it. And within that light, we may find that we start to have understanding to be able to manage triggers in a easier way for ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the benefits of working in a group, doing in the room training when you're doing your first trainings. You've got a whole cohort of people you can lean into and support you. And also, if necessary, speak with your tutor. It's something that needs to be worked through.